What's up? It's your boy back again, SRT Big 8. I was just sitting here riding, and my cousin, he got an oil leak on his vehicle. So I just want to make a quick video on maintenance in your vehicles. Okay. Now this is gonna be helpful for a lot of women. Like I know a lot of single women, they don't have nobody to service and maintenance their vehicles. They always gotta pay time at lube or somebody like that. Okay, first thing first, if you got a new vehicle, most new vehicles come with warranties. But most of the time, the warranties and these dealerships, they take their time getting to your vehicle. So your vehicle might have a warranty, but it might take them maybe a month before you can get your vehicle back. So to avoid all that, this is what I'm gonna teach you guys, mostly for the single women. Like if you have a vehicle that's older, right? Like let's just say you got a 2010 older, like most of the older cars I see have had problems, and maybe the newer car maybe have a leak in the oil pan or something. Maybe like every other day, maybe two days. Let's just say 3 days, right? 3 days before you start your vehicle up, pop your hood. Is most of the time the hood latch is gonna be like right where your feet is, like where your driver's side up against the firewall on the floor panel, and it'll have a hood on there, or it'll say hood. Pull that, right? Once you pull that, then you'll hear the hood pop up. Go around the front, right in the middle of the hood at the front. You'll see like a little latch thing that you push over with your hand and you raise the hood up. Once you're under your hood, you're gonna see two dipsticks. One is for the transmission and one is for your motor. The motor dipstick has a yellow handle on it. Do not pull this before you start the vehicle, because now your oil is not in the oil pan. Because when you start your motor, the oil goes to the top. People don't realize that when they start their car and they cut it off and then they try to check their oil, then they say, hey, well, there's no oil on the dipstick. And then you start adding oil. Now the engine's overfilled. Now it's too much compression on your motor. Now your motor, you can blow a head gasket. I've seen it done too many times. So always check your oil before you start the vehicle. Because once you start the vehicle, then you have to wait 10 minutes before your oil comes all the way from the top back down to the oil pan so it can breathe back on your dipstick. Okay, once you pull your dipstick, you're gonna see some notches, like some maybe two holes, or maybe it'll say safe on there, or it'll say full, or it might not even say anything. It'll just have two dots. Most Honda Accords and Toyota, they just have two dots. Your oil's supposed to be on that second dot. Your oil's supposed to be on that line that says safe. Your oil's supposed to be on where it says full. And you're checking this motor oil with the engine off before you start it. If you start it up and you want to check your oil, do not check the oil with the vehicle running. You check your oil with the vehicle off. You're going to have to wait like 10 minutes if you started the vehicle. Give your oil time to go back down so you can get a proper reading. Okay? Now, if the oil is low and you don't have an oil light, most of the time you get a notification say oil level low, or you'll see a oil light flickering. That means your oil is low. Or sometimes the motor might not even start up, because most of these new cars, they have protection and stuff like that. So once you notice that it's low on oil, that lets you know that you have an oil leak somewhere, or the motor is using oil because it's old. Some motors start using oil. Now they made additives like seafoam to go in there, try to soften up the seals, or fix the piston rings, or wherever's causing it to use oil, because the motor can also burn oil too. You don't necessarily have to have an oil leak that you can visibly see. You can have a issue with your engine burning oil, as in oil is getting places where it's not supposed to be, and the engine is burning it on the inside because the engine is old. So that's why it's very important to check things before it ends up causing you to a bigger problem, like needing an engine. So that's number one. Number two, transmission is a little different. Now on these new cars, you can't even check the transmission fluid. Now if you perhaps can, you're gonna see a red handle, like red or darkish red. That's your transmission. How to check that? You have to check this with the engine running. It's the total opposite. Most of the time when you pull a transmission dipstick, it'll say check at idle, or it'll say check in park with the engine running. This is how you do that, because the transmission, it also has an oil pump in it. What happens with this is, if you try checking the transmission oil with the car off, right? It's the total opposite of the motor. And people don't understand this. It's gonna look like the transmission is overfilled because the motor is turning the pump on the transmission. Once the pump is initiated, it pulls oil all through the transmission, through the seals, through the pistons, all that. So now you're able to check the oil and see how much oil the transmission is lacking. You pull it while it's warm. For some reason, you have to do it while it's idle and while it's warm. Now that's how you check the transmission, and that's the same thing. Okay, number three. Sorry, checking your coolant levels. Now this is very critical. I say critical because most people don't even know how to check the coolant levels. Like, you have to check the coolant levels while the engine is cold, because you can't remove the reservoir cap while the engine is hot, because it'll burst out and it'll burn you very, very bad. You'll end up with bad injuries. So you have to check that with the engine cool. You don't want to remove that cap while it's hot. And most of the time you'll have a see-through container, and on the side of the container you'll see little lines. It'll say full, or it'll say max, or it'll say full when cold, or it'll be another line where it say hot. This is where it's supposed to be when it's hot. Okay. So let's just say you have to keep on, let's just say you have to keep refilling your coolant. That means you're using coolant, and it can be the same thing as like a motor issue, like I was saying, with using oil. For some reason you're losing coolant. It could be a small hole in the radiator. It could be a small hole in the radiator, or it could be like a hose that's leaking. You even have what they call a heater core that's in the dashboard. Now this could also be leaking. So you can catch things before it happens, is what I'm saying. You can stop major issues from happening just by taking time, popping your hood in the morning, going under the hood, pulling your dipsticks, checking your fluid levels, checking your coolant levels. This will let you know what exactly is going on with your vehicle. Some people just get in their vehicle, they drive, they check stuff when it's too late. When you start hearing motor noises, you start hearing tapping noises. The motor start tapping when you first started up, and then it gets quiet. That lets you know that there's some damage has been done because of low oil levels. People don't understand this stuff is very, very critical. You have to be on top of a used vehicle, because let's just say you go buy a used vehicle and people say, oh, I just bought this car from this guy and it's already doing this. That is not his problem once he sell you the vehicle. You are responsible for keeping up the maintenance on your vehicle as soon as you drive off a used car lot. The key word is used car. They don't know where this car comes from. They get these cars from auctions. Some people come trade cars in. Only thing they're obligated to do for you is make sure the car starts, runs, and drives. And they clean the vehicle up, and they make sure they're able to transfer this title into your name. You don't have any DMV issues. That is the only thing a dealership job is to do for you. If they give you a 30-day warranty, cool. If they give you a 6-month warranty, cool. But most of these dealerships have papers that you sign that says sold as is. You might want to bring you a mechanic. But if you do not have a mechanic, things to look for when buying a used vehicle, you can check out my next video. Y'all like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to be giving very, very helpful information. I'm going to give a lot of insight, information that can save you money. Y'all like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back with the next video on how to buy a used vehicle. See y'all.